How we doing, fellow Democrats? We doing well this morning? I'm always grateful to be back in Rowan County. Rowan County plays a very special place in my heart. When the votes were counted in November of the year 2000, on election night the year 2000, when the numbers came in from Rowan County, you guys put me in the North Carolina Senate, the youngest North Carolina senator in a generation. And I'm here to tell you I will never forget the special place that you have in my heart, no matter where I go. If I go to Washington, it's going to be with a little bit of Rowan County in my heart. Thank you all for all. As Jeff said, I'm Cal Cunningham, and with your help and your support next November, I'm going to replace Tom Tillis in the United States. Growing up just across the bridge in Lexington, I learned that your word is your bond. You look a person in the eye, you shake their hand, you tell them what you're going to do, and then you're expected to do it, right? When I walked into a recruiter's office and raised my right hand, taking a commission in the Army Reserves, I gave my word again. I gave my word to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I tried to live out the word that I gave, serving in Iraq, serving in Afghanistan, taking on corrupt government contractors, prosecuting misconduct. I'm back here in front of you today to give you my word that if I go to the United States Senate, I will always put the people of North Carolina, I will always put North Carolina first in Washington, D.C. We're here and we are in a very unique moment in America, in part because there is a corruption in Washington, D.C. that is standing in the way of progress on all of the major issues that we are facing. A corruption that is embodied in a Mitch McConnell and a Tom Tillis who will not move forward on the big issues of this moment in climate and in gun violence, in investing in health care and in education. There have been over 400 bills that have come over from the United States House of Representatives that have died on the desk of Mitch McConnell. Not because they're good or bad ideas, but just because they won't govern this country anymore. They won't govern this country anymore. They're in the push and pull of Washington politics. In the push and pull of Washington politics, our junior senator, Tom Tillis, has decided that there is something more important than putting North Carolinians first. He has allowed his political interests, his personal political interests, his partisan interests, and the corporate interests that are having their way in Washington. He's put them ahead of the interests of all of us here in North Carolina. Time and time again, we have seen this in the way he has voted, in the way he has governed himself. Folks, I believe that North Carolinians are proud and hardworking and decent and proudly independent people. And we expect the same out of our United States Senator, don't we? Yeah. We expect somebody who will stand up, regardless of the party of the president, and make sure that our voices are being heard in the debates of the moment. And we've seen time and time again, on issue after issue, that Tom Tillis will not stand up to this president, haven't we? Yep. You know, when we first got to know our junior senator 9 years ago when he came to power as the Speaker of the House, right? And he took a wrecking ball to a lot of things that make us proud to be North Carolinians. And then he narrowly won this seat in the United States Senate away from our dear Kay Hagan, who worked hard for North Carolina for the 6 years she was on Capitol Hill. And he went to Washington and he said, if I could take a magic wand and do in Washington what I did in Raleigh, the world would be a better place. But we have seen that that hasn't proven true, haven't we? When it comes to making sure that all of the young people of North Carolina have opportunities, that we extend opportunities and invest in the next generation. As Speaker, Tom Tillis, he voted to cut over $500 million out of public education, cutting over 9,000 teachers' jobs, eliminating teaching fellows and important investments that are important to the quality of education we deliver our young people. Then he went to Washington, and he was the deciding vote to make Betsy DeVos Secretary of Education, who is openly hostile to public education, isn't she? I would be a different kind of senator. I'm going to work to make sure we have a well-paid, supported teacher in every public classroom in North Carolina. I'm going to work to make sure that we invest in rural schools, in making sure we fully fund Title I, and individuals with disabilities have the support that they need, that we put the counselors and the support into schools to make sure that our children have the best opportunities. We're going to invest in early childhood. We're going to make sure that the size of your wallet and your zip code doesn't stand in the way of going to community college or university, and we're going to get at the cost of tuition in America. I'm going to work to make sure that we invest in our schools, invest in our people by making sure that we support public education in America. When it comes to making sure all of our people have access to quality, affordable health care, then Speaker Tom Tillis passed the law that stands in the way of Governor Roy Cooper extending Medicaid coverage to over 600,000 North Carolinians. He wants to talk about the efforts he wants to take to get at the opioid problem. You ask our law enforcement and our healthcare people. The number one thing we can do to help curb opioids in North Carolina today, extend Medicaid coverage, and 85,000 North Carolinians who are opioid dependent today would have coverage and care tomorrow. Then he went to Washington and became Senator Tom Tillis, and has voted over and over again to attack the Affordable Care Act that would gut protections for 1.7 million North Carolinians with pre-existing conditions, would take away coverage from hundreds of thousands of our people. As your U.S. Senator, I'll be different. I'll work to support and expand the Affordable Care Act, adding a public option that makes sure that we have more choices in the marketplace to bring down costs. We will get at the problem of affordable prescription drugs by giving Medicare the tools to the largest buyer of prescription drugs in the world. Give it the opportunity to negotiate for lower drug prices. Work to get at the out-of-pocket costs that are so difficult in making sure prescriptions are affordable. When it comes to making sure all North Carolinians know the dignity of a good paying job with benefits, Tom Tillis, as Speaker, voted to take away the Earned Income Tax Credit, voted for tax breaks for those who need them the least, raising taxes on working families. Hear me now, a Republican voting to raise taxes on working families. He went to Washington and, as our senator, voted for the largest tax cuts in the history of the world. And the benefits go to the wealthiest people in the world and the biggest corporations in the world. 55% of North Carolinians are going to pay higher taxes because of this tax bill. As your U.S. Senator, I'm going to put the tools of government on the side of working families. I'm going to work to invest in job opportunities. We're going to work to renegotiate the trade deals that have been so difficult for North Carolina. I want to build infrastructure and invest in rural parts of our state, making sure that we all get to know we haven't raised wages, and we have not raised the minimum wage in America in over a decade. And you have my word that I'll be a fighter to raise the minimum wage in America. Folks, we have a motto in North Carolina, you may know it. Esse quam videre in the Latin. It means to be rather than to seem. It means walk the walk, talk the talk, be yourself, be your own person. Tom Tillis is going to try and do a couple of things over the next year. First, he's going to try and put on a brave face, right? He's going to try and sell himself to North Carolinians. He's going to try and make you think that he's done good things. but we know who he is. He has shown us. He has shown us in his voting record. He's shown us in the things that he has chosen to prioritize on Capitol Hill. But you know he's going to do something else. He's going to work to try and tell you that I'm somebody that I'm not. Y'all have seen these campaigns before, right? You can count on him to be negative. That's why there's a Republican tracker walking around right out there in the parking lot, shoving a microphone in my face every time we move around. He's going to try and tell you something. But let me tell you who I am. I grew up over here in Lexington. I learned the value of public service over the First Presbyterian Church in Lexington, doing service projects up in Appalachia, in scouting in the community. I learned the value of $1. Just outside of town, stacking brick on the family brickyard, driving a front end loader, driving a forklift, dropping fries at the McDonald's up on Highway 8 just north of Lexington. I learned from a small town lawyer dad who made all of our neighbors his clients, who took on their fights. I learned from him that sometimes justice requires a fight and is willing, you have to be willing to take on the biggest companies in America when it comes to making sure that folks get fairness. I learned by serving in Iraq and Afghanistan with the airborne, with special operations troops, I learned a new form of patriotism and a deeper form of love of this country. And these are values that I'm proudly going to display in this campaign and that I will take to Capitol Hill to be your U.S. Senator. But I'm here to tell you folks, this race, this campaign is about so much more than replacing a bad U.S. Senator. We're going to have a chance to debate what it means to be a North Carolinian. Whether we're going to be a tolerant and inclusive North Carolina whose future is written by all of us, or are we going to give in to the fear that the other party likes to try to display? Are we going to be a North Carolina that lives out the biblical admonition to be our brothers and sisters keepers, to look out for each other, to serve each other? Or are we going to allow narrow personal interests to govern? And are we going to be, on our watch, a generation that leaves this world in a better place for our kids and our grandkids? Or is this going to be the first generation that fails that challenge? I believe that the future is bright. I believe that North Carolina's future is bright. I'm a strong believer. Knowing you, traveling this state, getting to know the people of this state, that we are better than we have been getting, right? We are so much better than what we have in Washington today. We are more decent. We are more loving between ourselves. We care more for our neighbors than we are getting in Washington, D.C. Now, I'm here to tell you, campaigning for this office is the joy of a lifetime. Doing this job would be the joy and the honor of a lifetime. Since I launched this campaign, we've been traveling North Carolina, having town hall meetings, giving speeches, all parts of North Carolina. As a Democrat, I'm going places sometimes Democrats don't go. Y'all, I went up to the Trump booth at the state fair. and hear me out. Yeah. Hear me out. There wasn't a Tom Tillis supporter at that booth. Oh. He's so unpopular with his own people that when he gets on stage with Donald Trump in Fayetteville and in Greenville, Trump's people boo Tom Tillis. They know he's part of the problem in Washington. If we ever get around to draining the swamp, he's going to be the first alligator out. Folks, it would be the honor of a lifetime to represent you. I'm traveling this state. We have support in all 100 counties. We have support in all 100 counties already in this campaign. We have over 140 public, elected, local officials who have lent their names and their credibility to support this campaign. We have endorsements from organizations like Vote Vets, the premier organization in America that gets veterans elected to Capitol Hill. The League of Conservation Voters, because they know that I will elevate climate change and we will take on challenges facing this environment. Groups like End Citizens United, a national organization that is respecting the fact that I refuse to take corporate PAC money in this campaign and knows that we've got to clean up Capitol Hill and deal with corruption if we're going to have change and reform that we need. Proud to have been endorsed this last week by the AFL-CIO. They know that I will stand with working families on Capitol Hill when it comes to good jobs with good benefits and higher wages. Yesterday endorsed by the group, the Council for a Livable World, an organization that knows that North Carolina has a leading role and a leading voice in the debate in America and in the world about smart use of our military and smart use of our power and the importance of diplomacy and the importance of our allies and the importance of living out our values on the national stage. But I need you. I need your help. I need your support. We know that an incumbent, entrenched Republican senator isn't going to go quietly. We know that Mitch McConnell is going to be in here and all the special interest groups that are already spending money trying to shore him up. It's going to be a fight. I would be honored to stand with you in that fight. I would love to have your help and your support in this fight. And I would love the opportunity to represent you on Capitol Hill. I am proud to call North Carolina home. Growing up here, just across the river, I learned hope, I learned optimism, I learned independence, and I learned that things get better if we love them enough to stand up and fight. And that's what we're going to do in this campaign. Thank you all.